In the quiet countryside where time flows gently and swords ring sharper than words, a forgotten legend prepares to rise again. It begins in the quiet countryside, where Barl Gardnet, a seasoned sword instructor, lives a simple life running his family's dojo. One morning, his aging father, Freddie, sighs about his unfulfilled dream, holding a grandchild. Despite Barl's success in expanding the dojo and training many fine students, his father can't help but poke at the one thing Barl hasn't done. "Get married, there must be a nice girl among your students," the old man nags, much to Barl's frustration. Barl wasn't going to agree to that. Barl then reflects on his past, explaining that he inherited the dojo 2 decades ago and has been its master ever since. From a young age, he dreamed of becoming a great swordsman. Compared to the average person, he's extremely skilled. Despite all this, he's quite content with his peaceful life. In fact, many of his students have gone on to become successful after graduating from his dojo. Next, we see them having dinner, and unsurprisingly, his father is still harping on about wanting grandchildren. He even tries to get Barl's mother on his side, but she stays neutral, which makes things even more frustrating for Barl. That is, until one day, the past quite literally knocks on his door. Enters Alucia Citrus, a former student-turned-knight commander. She arrives with surprising news. Barl is being appointed as a special instructor for the kingdom's elite Larian order. She hands him a royal letter, sealed by the king himself. Barl is stunned. He's just an old countryside teacher, but the order is official and serious enough that refusing isn't an option. His father sees this as a golden opportunity, urging him not just to teach, but to finally find a wife. Go find a wife in the capital, too. His father nudges, "How about her?" But Barl dismisses it, claiming he's too old. Alucia, surprisingly, doesn't object to the idea but quickly brushes it off when questioned. So Barl travels to the capital. On the way, he then notices Citrus's sword and comments that she's still using the same one. Citrus proudly responds, "Of course." Barl explains that he gives the same sword as a graduation gift to every student and then recommends she upgrade to something better. After all, a knight commander carrying a countryside sword just doesn't seem fitting, but Citrus refuses. Hearing that, Barl thinks to himself how students often hold on to such gifts out of respect for their teacher. But still, deep down, he sees himself as just some old guy from the countryside, not someone fit to be a special instructor. That's when Citrus suddenly starts praising him. She says he's known as the Backwater Swordmaster because most of his students now hold powerful positions. Barl still doesn't believe it. Finally, they reaches to the capital. By then, it's already night. Citrus drops Barl off at an inn, telling him to get some rest because tomorrow is going to be hectic. The next day, Citrus introduces Barl to the rest of the knights, announcing him as their special instructor. She even says that Barl is stronger than she is, but judging by his appearance, some of the knights don't seem too thrilled. After the introduction, Citrus privately tells Barl that he'll only need to teach 3-4 classes a month, so his own dojo won't be affected much. But just then, a girl named Kuruni comes running towards Barl. He recalls that Kuruni was one of his old students and she is now a knight. Kurun had trained under Barl for 2 years, and her childhood dream of becoming a knight has now been fulfilled, which makes Barl happy. Later, we see Barl returning home at night. As soon as he enters, he meets another former student, Rendid, who is now married with a child. Barl mentions how he's meeting many of his old students after so long, but then his father tells him that he doesn't need to come home until he finds a wife. Rund is a platinum-ranked adventurer, which is a very high rank. However, he decides to quit adventuring to spend time with his family. Barl's father then informs him that Rund will be taking over the dojo as its new master, while Barl will stay in the city to manage his duties. Rund agrees to this condition. Barl begins to suspect that his father must have already planned all this. The next day, Barl is back in the city where he explains the situation to Citrus. She seems more happy than sad. Barl's current plan is to find a decent place to stay as the current one is too luxurious for him. Citrus then makes a suggestion that Barl can stay with her. Barl immediately refuses and tells her not to make such ridiculous suggestions. Since it was already lunchtime, they decide to get something to eat. Just as they're talking, some people start gossiping about how the knight commander is hanging out with an old man. Upon hearing this, Barl begins to distance himself from Citrus, realizing that her reputation is being tarnished because of him. Just then, a girl named Serena enters the scene and questions Citrus about how she can call such an old man her master. Barl is stunned when he notices that Serena has a black plate, meaning she is a black-ranked adventurer. As soon as Serena spots Barl, she's shocked to see him and admits that she is one of his former students. Although Barl doesn't remember her, Serena reminds him how 20 years ago he picked her up from the streets and taught her swordsmanship. Barl recalls this and feeling guilty, Serena apologizes and thanks him for everything he's done for her. She then asks why he's hanging around with someone like Citrus. This makes Citrus angry and she explains everything in frustration. Serena then tells Citrus that someone like her wouldn't understand and offers to show Barl a better place to stay, one that's also cheaper. Finally, we see that Barl finds a place to stay. The next day, we see a training session where Barl is about to hold his first class, but then a man named Drought says he wants to test Barl first. Drought is the vice commander of the group, and it's his responsibility to cover up any mistakes the commander makes. Citrus accepts on Barl's behalf, leaving Barl with no other option to go along with it. Finally, their match begins and everyone is curious about who will win. Drought starts by saying that he doesn't want to disrespect anyone, but he believes their commander is very kind. Maybe because of this, he suggested his master so confidently, but he claims Barl has no talent at all. Drought then starts attacking Barl relentlessly. On the other hand, Barl agrees with everything Drought says while skillfully blocking every single one of his attacks. Barl thinks to himself that Drought's speed is faster than his and his power is quite impressive. Then, using the handle of his sword, Barl suddenly lands a strike to Drought's chin, leaving everyone stunned. Drought then goes for his special attack, which allows him to break Barl's sword. Everyone begins to think that Drought is going to win. However, unexpectedly, Barl disappears and appears behind Drought, which leads to Barl's victory. This surprises everyone, even Drought, who can't believe he lost. Drought then starts praising Barl, saying that he's amazing and that he's never seen such a technique before. Later that night, everyone is celebrating the arrival of their new instructor. Even Drought has become a fan of Master Barl. During this time, both Drought and Citrus are drinking juice while praising Barl. Meanwhile, Barl's father is seen thanking Rendid. Rendid shares that he has traveled to many places but has never seen a skilled swordsman like Barl and that Barl has already proven himself. The rest is now in Barl's hands.